Welcome to Mindfulness. We're exploring the 33rd hexagram, 33rd gene key, 33rd human design gate. And it's the shadow of forgetting. It's the gift of mindfulness. And it's the city of revelation. It's also the archetype of the medicine person. So what we're going to do is explore these different qualities and do 5 rounds, really 6 rounds, 5 rounds of movement using embodiment to tease out the deeper patterns and to step into those patterns for yourself. And a 6th round to distill out your own sense of leadership, your own sense of wisdom with what you're getting from it. Now, the 2 movements start with the top hexagram. The hexagram is mesh, so we're stepping forward, out, and wide. So from your beginning, from your neutral, from your seat, from your stance, step forward, come up, come wide. And in mesh, ideally, you're having an adventure. You're able to go anywhere. You're fully engaged in whatever is meaningful and what matters to you. So that's our ideal place of mesh. And we can be flexible, we can be passionate. If you're fully engaged, you're meshing. And that's the world we're starting in. That's where we're starting in the 33rd hexagram. And then you've got your individual choice, the bottom trigram. So step back, down, and wide into cradle. In cradle, ideally, your attention is on yourself, your body, and on your feelings specifically, being down, being sensing. Notice your feelings. Turn your attention to how are you doing today? Imagine your best spa day, your best self-care day, a vacation that's all about taking care of you. Now imagine bringing that into a world where you're fully engaged. So come forward back into mesh. So in a world where we're fully engaged, shift back into cradle. I choose to feel my feelings, to feel what's going on. And having felt what's going on, I choose to bring those gifts back into the world and fully engage. So then what might forgetting feel like? What might the lesson be about forgetting? Well, what are we forgetting that we don't fully engage? What don't you remember that stops you from feeling confident to go seek and pursue your desires? Shift back into cradle. What is it you forget about you? What do you not notice or won't feel in you that could lead to not caring for you, not holding space for you? As you come back forward into mesh, do it as if you can't quite get there, like you're locked out, can't get fully engaged, can't get collaborative, can't participate. Allow your body to feel that experience a moment. Now shift back into cradle and also feel like you can't quite get there. Like you're looking inside you, but you can't see. You're feeling inside you, but there's something numb. One more time, go back to mesh, come back to cradle with a sense of efforting, but you can't. I'm trying, but I can't. And come back to cradle. I'm trying, but I can't. So the can't is one way we could get blocked with this. The other way is to do too much, to have to sort of leave our own body. Come back into mesh, but do it too much. Like you have to. Give your sense of feeling of I have to engage, I have to participate, I have to get it right, and notice how does that show up for you? come back into cradle with a have to. I have to feel everything. I have to feel so much. How does that show up for you? And now, having touched the have to and the can't, gently go back and forth between mesh and cradle, where you're just letting your body lead the way. You're not trying to do anything. You cannot get it wrong. Now notice when you're just letting your body lead, observe how you're doing this. And part of this pattern is going to feel, even though you're letting your body go, hopefully as much as possible, where in this pattern does it, do you kind of avoid it? Wherever you're avoiding it, go there and just breathe and pause. Be still for a moment. So stop where you think you're avoiding it. You don't have to do anything other than just pause there for about 3 more breaths. And then let the movements all go. Put your feet underneath you, shake your body for a few moments. Great work, just moving through so many unconscious blocks. One of my favorite benefits of using these kind of movements is it's hard to know what our blocks are. If we could really see our own blocks, we would make a lot more progress. And so doing the movement, we can find our blocks and we can start to do something about them. So to do something about them, now that you've made all this space and you've recognized some of these patterns, we'll drop in an activation statement. The first one's going to be, I allow my interactions with others to teach me about my own needs. So when I walk you through this, we'll do 1 statement per round, 4 rounds. You'll get to say the words, feel the feelings, and notice the impact it has on the pattern of mesh and cradle. Other than that, there's no way to get it wrong. There's no way to, there's just more right to get out of it. Here we go. So starting in mesh and then cradle, then flowing between the two at your own pace. Step forward, up and wide. And shift back down and wide. Attend to yourself. And repeat these words and feel free to modify them. I can allow my interactions with others to teach me about my own needs. I can allow my interactions with others to teach me about my own needs. I can allow my interaction with others to teach me about my own needs. Keep dropping the words in and feeling your way through the movements. The second activation. I can learn to respect my feelings the more that I collaborate with others. I can learn to respect my own feelings the more that I collaborate with others. I can learn to respect my own feelings the more I collaborate with others. Moving to the third activation. I can sense when a situation is too much for me, and I can respect my own limits. I can sense when such situation is too much for me and can respect my own limits. I can sense when a situation is too much for me and can respect my own limits. Our fourth and final activation. I can protect and take care of myself in difficult situations. I can protect and take care of myself in difficult situations. I can protect and take care of myself even in the most difficult situations. For our fifth round, our final round of embodiment, I invite you to hold both. We've got cradle, back, down, and wide. We've got mesh, forward, up, and wide. So hold one with each arm. One arm in cradle, one arm in mesh. And play for this next minute with holding and touching both at the same time. Feel the creative tension and allow yourself to have whatever experience comes to you. take the next few moments to step out of the movement. Choose to let go of the practice. Come to neutral. Put a hand on the back of your head and a hand on the front of your head as a recovery practice to fully step out of the movement, out of the archetype, and back into you as you. Well done. Thank you for stepping into it. Our invisible sixth round is about sharing and expressing. What came to you? What are you taking away? What have you received? What is it you know? If you can journal with this right now, that's a great time to journal. And we're going to take a moment to share with words. So if you have an opportunity to speak to somebody and explore through talk, then that is a phenomenal way to integrate and acknowledge and honor what you've changed for yourself. So what's alive in you now?
Well, what it seems especially obvious with this one, although it's probably true with all of them, is I've heard this statement that says the wider the gap that one can sustain in one's awareness without losing capacity to deal with it between what one sees as what is and what one sees as what possible, that the greater the distance between the two that we can sustain without our consciousness rebelling and wanting to hide in one of these sides, that the greater our effectiveness in the world, if we can see both what is possible and what is without flinching. So it seems like this particular one is just such a perfect example of inviting us to sustain as wide of a gap between involvement in all of it and at the same time deep internal awareness, not just internal, I guess deep awareness of self and our own individuality, our own individual everything at the same time. So I thought that was really rich.
Mm-hmm.
And to have an embodied practice, because I've been familiar with this idea for a very long time, and this has resonated for me. And here it's an opportunity to come back to this and practice holding both of these or flowing between them consciously and with ease.
Yeah, I mean, what a huge gap to be in full engagement in the world while feeling and taking care of oneself. It reminds me of uh, the conversation about flow, and like literally the flow, the psychological state of flow, and having that Goldilocks of full body sensorial experience, massive adaptability, and you're in that sweet spot of challenge and risk, but not too much, like a little bit, 4% more risk and challenge than what you're used to, but not 10% more. Where can I remember who I am while being with others actively, which is different than sometimes in my experience being in a group, but then being like overly in my experience. And I remember in certain trauma lessons, learning about trauma and resilience, the skill, the practice of saying, okay, here's a brown wood, white Kleenex, blue bottle. Today is August 3rd, 2021. Like these grounding, anchoring in reality. And for folks who I think do a lot of healing work and a lot of inner work and a lot of imaginal work and a lot of thinking work, to go, what day is it? What's my name? This is a brown table. What city am I in? can actually feel jarring. At least I can experience the jarringness of that. So it's like how to remember who we are when we're not overly fixated on remembering who we are, but we're actually able to do things that matter. And I'll wrap this thought up with, yesterday we finally went, after 3 weeks of going, oh, we should go see Shirley Temple's grave here in Palo Alto, California. We went, and it was a beautiful building. And the thing that I was struck with, that I am often struck with when I go to a cemetery of any kind, is all these people are dead, which is like obvious, but like however famous they were, however amazing they were, however loving and caring and enlightened they were, they're dead. Nothing they could choose in life could change that. So I sure hope they all got what they wanted out of their time. And to be fully present with who I am and what do I want out of life, and be fully engaged, knowing that, yeah, death is coming. And it's gonna, the game's gonna be over. Whatever I think about with reincarnation can be absolutely true. Doesn't matter. I don't remember those as if they were, this life. So so to handle that much spectrum, like you're talking about, Alexandra, is mind-boggling. And then maybe that's where the anti-fragility comes in. So it's not just about handling it, surviving another day and being resilient, but truly being anti-fragile. We can stretch ourselves and not just snap back, but be even more embodied and more grateful.
Yeah, finding strengths in transitioning between the extreme. Like I'm looking at the hexagram itself, and both lines 3 and 4 are young lines. So standing strong for whatever it is that is to be engaged with
Yeah,
on both sides of the spectrum, both the grand vision and our own individuality.
brilliant. Well, thank you. So thanks everybody for, Wake Up Epic is a workout. It's a beautiful, intense practice. We're blending UZAZU and conversation and hexagrams and a lot of things here to wake up what's innately yours. So enjoy the practice. As always, I recommend you do a few days of the same practice. Today, cradle and mesh. Do it a few times for the next few days and see what new layers and what new emergence shows up synchronistically for you. Bye for now.